Yeah, alright, I'm back, and we're going to be talking about song number...
For respect, the admission I'm depressed, but if my decision is to do nothing, then what do I expect? Maybe accept, the only thing that I'll achieve is regret, and when it comes to...
Back down to earth. Honestly, I'm not really going to dive into this one as much as you would probably like me to, because I feel like the lyrics sort of speak for themselves, but... Essentially, when I'm talking about the journey of Dreamland, it's me going up and like me being at my peak by high, me being at the bottom of the ladder, sort of like very optimistic in Can't Handle. In the second track, it's me sort of taking that ladder and me thinking about the plan that I have to make to get to that top. And then track number 4 is me basically being shoved off of the edge and from high and then going all the way back down to earth, essentially, and like me being at that top and then falling off, essentially. I use this word intentionally, but it brings me back down to my reality. The first 3 songs are my fantasies, sprinkled in with my realities, and that was very intentional because this is going back to that prequel idea. The prequel, Dreamland is a prequel to Fantasies versus Realities. It's the setup for that. That was the original idea I always wanted to do with the EP. Even before I had the title of Dreamland, that was always the idea of it. It was going to be the setup to my project of Fantasies versus Realities. And essentially, back down to earth, my thought process for it was, it's a trailer. It's the trailer for Fantasies versus Realities. It's the realities I have been dealing with my whole fucking life, and just giving you fucking snippets of it, and like being like, there's this bit, and then there's this other bit, and then there's this thing over here, there's also this other thing, and it's like, it's a trailer, essentially. That's what it is. And each of those things and more things that I didn't mention are going to be brought up on Fantasies vs. Realities. And so one example is like, the things I mentioned about my dad, instead of that just being like a few bars or whatever it was, I know that was probably a bit of a longer bit in the song, but that will be a whole song of its own, like delving into it more. And I've even got like a bit of that song, like a first full verse of that song written, called Change the CD. I'll give that as a fucking exclusive for you. But there's a lot of shit on that track that kind of hit me, and the idea of it, but to emphasize that thing of like falling off and like bringing me back down to my reality, was the first 3 tracks. I'm sure you'll realize like there's a very similar vibe to them, there's a certain feel to them, and that was very intentional. And then the 4th track was supposed to be fucking complete opposite.
Stars.com.
Out, and that represents my fantasies, and then there's me in my reality down back on earth digging up a grave. I fall, the video cuts between me falling and then me digging up the grave, and then ends with me falling in the grave. So one interesting thing I did find when I was like actually trying to create Back Down to Earth, which is something that's never happened to me, is I thought of the music video first and then sort of wrote along to the music video. I had a vision of it being like the start of the thing being me like at the end of the track high, and me being like on a cloud and then shoved off by something, and then like the whole song is me falling. And I just had that imagery in there before, and that's why I know one of the lines at the start was like, that's why I'm falling myself. And the actual spelling of it is supposed to be implied that I'm saying F-O-O-L-I-N-G, I believe. Can I spell? Yeah, I think I can. That's the implication, but I actually spell it Falling. So like actually falling, and there's a few instances where like I throw in like something related to me falling, and the whole idea of the song is that it's me falling down and then I only hit the ground when I hit that final line. That is the idea in a visual sense of what the song is. I think there's a lot more I could probably say about like Back Down to Earth as a track, but there's a lot I don't really want to talk about as well, and I kind of want to save that for the music to tell that story really, so I guess I'll just sort of leave that and move on to a few extra things. Those are all tracks, and I'll now talk about like shit I cut out.
As I say, it's never too late until it's too late. A phrase of which got me into this place, allowing me to take a gaze of my hard work that finally paid, and now so far into hours.
So one of the cut ideas for this was something that kind of came about after I kind of had everything recorded. I was a bit like, I wanted to add some recordings to it, and like, so if you were to go back to something like the beginning mixtape, there's a bit in there on, I think it was Southwest, where I do like these little recordings in there, like as the kind of when hook would go.
Be deserved. When I die, I just want to be remembered, because I felt like I've spent a fair amount of my life living and being forgotten. So when I die, I want to be remembered. Remembered for my rapping, for my YouTube, whatever it is that I've done that is good and has made an impact on people. I just want to be remembered for that.
And it was very similar in that sort of sense of what I wanted to do, but then on Dreamland what I was going to do was have 2 skits that are about 10 to 20 seconds long, and in these skits I would take a word, I think it was Fantasies and Realities, to kind of try and hint people a bit more in their face about what was coming. So I'd say the word Fantasies and then talk about things that I want or like want to achieve. And then I'll say Realities and how there are certain things in my life and shit like that. I'll play them right now.
Fantasies. People who love me. A house roof studio. Going on tour. Travelling around the world. Family. Fuck it, a Mustang GT. Great music. Being remembered. Happiness.
I don't believe I actually tried putting them next to like any of the songs. I feel like if I had like a large audience, I may have put them there. But I feel like it's just a thing of like, I need to be very precise with what I release and when I release it and what I release it with. And I feel like if I would have put a skit or even 2 skits onto a like EP like this, it would break it up a little bit and may throw people off of listening, which I feel like was something that was really well done with it. If people are going to give this one listen, they're going to listen all the way through. Whereas if the skit was on there, they may have got to that skit and thought, no, I'm going to get out at this point. And it was kind of like, a bit of it was a little bit cheesy, and I was a bit like, I didn't know if it like sort of broke the vibe of the thing and took away the seriousness of it or whatnot, but in the end I was just like, it's probably safer if I don't put them in. So I did mention before about actually including What's Up as a song. That was something I cut, already gone over that as track number 2, and then switching it to part of the plan. There was going to be a 5th track on this EP, but it was so fucking out of place and did not belong on it as well. It was supposed to be like a bonus track, but I feel like it was a bit of a stupid one if I did put it as that. I actually ended up releasing it like about probably 3 or 4 weeks before the EP actually dropped, and that was called Expectations. It was a beat that I brought rights to when I was doing the beginning mixtape, and I just decided I wanted to redo it because I had that like those rights to it, and I thought I want to try at least make it sound somewhat good. And because it was really badly mixed in the first place, I asked Craig if he could like redo it for me, and luckily he did, and it sounded better. Wouldn't say it's anywhere up in like my top 10 favourite songs, but it's an extra thing anyway that I just thought did not belong on this. And probably if people heard the 4 fantastic tracks I put out and then suddenly get to the end and hear Expectations, it's a bit of a throwaway. And I feel like part of the thing that I did in, like, as you can see in the poster of Back Down to Earth, if you look at the bottom, there's actually a grave there, and it's also me. I intentionally dressed the way I dressed in the beginning mixtape, you know, on that poster when I retook the photo of me actually falling, which I'll actually show a bit of a funny clip here of how I took that, which was me basically going on my like footstool at home in the living room and trying to take a shot of me falling and then me having to cut it all out and shit. That's how that photo was taken. But I intentionally decided to dress the way I dressed back then to show me killing myself, in a sense, and me killing that version of me who I am no longer am. So I feel like me putting a song Expectations on a project where I'm actually trying to kill that version of me would not have worked and would have made no sense whatsoever. And I think that's about all I cut from the project. At the very least, there may have been like, obviously there's always going to be like bits of like lyrics that I would have cut out, but other than that,
so far into outer space. I forget how it felt to walk a carpet. Some may say this shit's retarded. I just think some things in life I've disregarded. It's quick to give up when life's as hard as what we're
now. Probably one of my favourite bits that I actually did, that I had the most fun doing, is designing the cover. Like, it was something I had the like image in my head of what I want to do, and I'm sure you guys know, like, you have the vision in your head of like how you want something to be, and then you go to do it and it is nothing. It's like the whole expectations reality, those sort of memes and shit. But when I say I had the vision in my head and I created it, I created it. Now obviously in my head there was like a vision of it being probably a bit more polished, but when I think about it, it's actually like I kind of did want it to look a bit like grungy and not perfectly polished as well, because I don't think this is the last time you're going to see Dreamland as like at least a cover, and there will be something in the future, like I'm talking distant future, about like what could potentially be involved with Dreamland. But with that, I'd probably like be able to have an artist at that point do the cover for me and make it that polished thing. But essentially when I designed it, I was able to find this like image of Dreamland. Like, it basically, the way it came up is there's a place in, I think it's London, I think it's called Margate, and there's this actual place called Dreamland, and it's basically the exact same place you see on the cover. And there was like a poster of it sort of done more the way I've got it, and I did kind of do a copy and trace of it, but I kind of like tried to add in my own flair to it, especially through the color that I used. And then I basically did this whole thing where I manipulated like 3 different images of clouds and then put them like behind the actual cover. So the sky you actually see on that, there's 2 different versions of the sky, but they actually very nicely were colored to look as if like when Dreamland sort of covers a bit in the middle where the line would be, where those two images met, it covers it nicely and actually makes it look like it fades into a bit of a darker color when you get onto this side. And then obviously just threw on the stars, and it probably took me like, I reckon overall like probably like a week work time, maybe a little less than that actually, maybe let's say like 5 days in terms of like fully getting the thing together. But then overall it probably took like about 3 weeks to put that time together to make it what it is. As I've already shown in this video, I did do the design of the poster, which was basically taking the old beginning mixtape poster and actually recreating it to do that whole thing of showing me going into the grave, putting my past self there, and like bringing my realities up in the circle, and like with the lyrics in there and shit. Like, I really did love what I did with that poster. It even included the plane, which is, if you see, very impressive like that you noticed it, but I really don't think anyone did. But it's basically taking the plane that you see on the beginning poster and actually putting it at the bottom, and it's actually on fire. That was like the idea of it, and like turning that poster on its head to the opposite of what it originally was. And I really love how it was done. And I haven't done a lot of like covers, I mean I guess I kind of have as well, but like in terms of actually fully putting effort into a cover, this is my favorite one. Like, this one was the one where it was like the effort was put in, it looks great, it gets people's attention, and it has a nice vibe to it that suits the music, and I love. Also with the design of the actual cover, I've completely forgot to like mention this nearly, but like it just occurred to me, but there's actually about 6 or 7 Easter eggs on there. I won't go through them all, but I feel like there's 3 posters on there that I would actually like to talk about, and that is the orange one, and there's actually some writing on there. And what it says is, "To my inspiration, thank you." So basically it says that, but it's in like the language of the Ultra 85. So because I mentioned earlier about how like No Pressure as an album sort of inspired me to get this EP out, I wanted to put something on the cover that was kind of like say thank you to Logic for that. I know we'd never probably see it, but it's just something nice addition there that I wanted to add. Then if you were to look on like the left side of the thing, of the Dreamland like building, there's 2 posters. One of them has F versus R, or reverse, I don't know which way around I put it, It's a little bit of a random poster that I just threw together, and then that's obviously referring to the Fantasies vs Realities project. And then there's a project next to it that says the YouTube Beats mixtape. I probably should have changed it before, because I kind of, near the, like, just before the EP was going to be put out, I kind of decided I wasn't going to do that anymore. And instead it's going to be the 6 in a Chamber mixtape that I want to do. But I just kind of thought it was a bit too late to change it at that point, so it's kind of just going to be one of those things that's sort of like, it's there, but it's never going to be something that really gets, well, it might do one day, but it's not something that I'd really be too keen to do. But those are just 3 little Easter eggs I put on there. If you can spot the others, then let me know. Have fun finding.
You can touch stars, bitch.
Living so high, I don't even feel alive. Living so high, I don't even feel the vibe. Living so high, I'm stuck in the sky. Living so high.
So I think what I can talk about now is like the aftermath of the project, and I think the biggest thing for me is the reception to this project. Obviously I would have loved more, but what I got was great. Like, honestly, I know I said it at the beginning, I said it in the middle of this, it was fucking great how I like actually like had people receiving me for this project. Like, after I released it, because I'm at university, I had people who were like, I walked outside once and then like this girl called George, and like I think a mate like called me over and was like, hey Ollie, like really like the project, whatnot. Had a like good convo with them about it, and like really appreciated that sort of moment. I then had people messaging me in like my blog and whatnot, just saying like, look, gave it a listen, really liked it, well done, and then like shit like that. But I would like to do like in future, like do like Instagram live streams where I just do like kind of release parties sort of shit. I'd love to do that and like have a lot more people involved in that. I feel like that'd be a really cool thing to like start doing. But the overall reception, like, it was a small thing, but to me it felt like a really huge thing. Totally just that statement. But seriously, like, thank you to everyone who did like listen to this project. It generally like meant a lot to me that you took the time to listen to it and whatnot. Some other stuff that happened in the aftermath of this project was I did a photo shoot with Ellie, and these are a couple of the images that you can see on the screen right now, and that was a really fun shoot. I think we tried doing it twice. Once was early in the morning, once was kind of like in the evening. It would look like midnight sort of thing. Felt it, but it was actually like at 5 o'clock, because obviously it's fucking dark as shit like in the early evenings now. I think one thing I do want to sort of go over in this right now is like a little bit of the reception to the song Back Down to Earth. Like, there was some like personal stuff that I kind of had talked to with people, and I feel like I definitely learned a lesson from that. And that's like, because it was something I wanted to like share with people, but I kind of like was a bit scared to, and like a bit worried about it then, and also think a bit of the thing of like, I'd written stuff and like I wanted to release the song anyway, and I didn't want anyone to really like say no, don't release it sort of thing. But I feel like that's a bit unfair of me, and like definitely in the future when I do songs that are definitely about people or about certain things, I will probably try to address it to them more and like get their feedback on it before I actually release it. And like I've had those conversations, they are what they are. I'm not going to talk about them in depth in this video because that's personal shit. But that was also a little bit what Backup was about as well. It was about like, these are feelings that I've had and I need to get them out there, and like I've got my reasons for saying what I said and what I will say in the future and shit like that. And like I don't want anyone to feel like they can't come to me to talk to help, because I don't want them to be afraid of them talking to me and then me going on to fucking like record on my microphone and then talk about their shit. And it's like, that's not what I'm doing. I'm talking about shit that's happened to me through other people, like, or because of other people I should say, and how it's affected me. I'm not just sort of taking someone's random story and being like spinning it into my own thing. I'm taking what's happened to me and said it, basically. So what is Dreamland? Dreamland is my end goal. It's the place where I want to reach. It's where my dreams and my fantasies lie, and it's where once I actually got to the end goal, so let's say right now the end goal is being a rapper and getting that like life that I want. That is what Dreamland is, and what this project is I guess one word to call it is like a mirage, and it's like sort of like, it's in my head what it could be, but right now I'm not actually there. But when I do reach those goals, then I am going to be there basically. And that is what Dreamland is to me. It's where I want to go, but where I am currently not, if that makes any sense. And I feel like that right there sort of sums everything up. So that is Dreamland explained. I'm hoping that I have in the edit being able to put this together and make it feel a bit more not just me sat here talking at you, and I've actually done some actual effort editing this video together. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like and all that shit. I will be back on YouTube a bit more now. We'll just see what we can do. It's just like university life and shit, and that's why I've taken a little bit longer to get around to this video itself. But you know, is what it is. I hope you enjoyed like me explaining the songs and explaining stuff like to do with like the actual concept of the album, or keep calling it an album, EP. But if there was anything you didn't feel like I answered, or something that you want to find out more about, feel free to ask it in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to generally reply to you and just like have a conversation about whatever it is you want to know about. If you haven't listened to Dreamland yet, why are you watching this video? Go and listen to that. But also, if you have listened to it, I'd really genuinely appreciate it if you can go and give it a listen again, and just like maybe try and delve in a bit deeper and sort of pick out lyrics you may have not heard before, because I feel like this project is a lot deeper than people realize, and I'd love it if people actually picked up on some of the things they may have missed out on. But yeah, anyway, I've been Ollie Rodriguez-Dolman. I'm back, and more videos to come, more streams to come. But yeah, hope you're all doing good, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Woo.
Bitch, I'm cynical, you can be critical, we can't change back, gonna be rats cynical and maybe in a debate, but I ain't political, unsynagogy, and I'm a miracle, you read that wrong, you must be literal, unhysterical, isn't it funny that I'm this lyrical, as a murder rhymes as if I'm a criminal, amazing and killer, so it must be surreal, that's what I'm trying to tell you to do, and that's it, I have the wills to still be the last one standing, come to this game with superior landing, tell that joke, hand me the mic and we'll see who's laughing, I'm my titan silence, what demanded, because me plus rap equals lie. You saying you hate me, make sure you lie. Burning your hate like it's rubber tire. Music is fuel to fuel my desires. To get where am I? You have your target, but I'm even high. I will acquire my fate. And if don't start soon, I'm be late. And that clock I'm going to take because it's my time.